Once the Constitution, as a substantive law, uses phrases like shall, it does not allow for discretion at all.
Any judicial precedent?
So you must carry it out.
Any judicial precedent to that effect?
Just wait a minute. It is commandingly mandatory for the act to be carried out. You see, when my colleague begin to argue that it's merely directional, it is not, for the following reason. Because we must be guided by case law as lawyers. Like my lecturers will say in university, you talk, you are writing, you don't cite case law to convince me as a lecturer, you are talking history. But having hindsight of case law that have been decided by this great country, particularly our Supreme Court, since, let me limit it to 1981 to the present date, what has been the attitude? What I did was take a comparative constitutional look, an analysis of the 1979 Constitution and the present 1999 Constitution, where the phrase shall have been used in both constitutions. What has been the attitude of the Supreme Court? It is to interpret it as mandatory. Take the case of the Attorney General of Bender State in those days versus the Attorney General of the Federation, which was decided in 1981, which was an offshoot of the 1979 Constitution. That was a case in which the National Assembly, a subcommittee of the National Assembly, passed the budget. The appropriation bill was passed into law. What happened was that a subcommittee, without complying with the provision of the Constitution, which says once the subcommittee has met, they shall submit their report to the larger house. They did not submit their report to the larger house. It was subsequently passed. And that the government of Bender State, which is now Edo and Delta, went to court and challenged it. And that was where you had the finest, the arrest of Nigerian constitutional lawyers who went to the Supreme Court and said, look, it was led by Akinjide for the federal government, Chief Richard Akinjide, senior advocate of it, and said, look, what is the government of Bender talking about? That provision of the Constitution is merely directive. Sure. And in any case, the representative of Bender State government in the House have participated. They are stopped, they have no locus, and the rest of them, the Supreme Court said, thank you very much. They have been a violation of the Constitution. The word shall mean that this ought to have been done.
So it's,
and they validated
so it's mandatory.
It's mandatory. That was in 1981. Barely after 1981, into 1983, there was another notorious case on the same word, shall vacate a seat. If a member fails to meet, a member of the House of Assembly or National Assembly fails to meet the constitutionally required date of sitting, his seat shall become automatically void. There was a case of a lawyer who was representing Akoko Edo constituency in the then Bender House of Assembly. He was not regular in the House. What Alegbe did, Alegbe was the Speaker of the House, what Alegbe did was to declare the seat vacant. And she wrote to me, William, senior advocate of Blessed Memory. He went to court, went to the High Court in Benin and challenged it and said, the Speaker has no power to declare a seat of a member vacant. The High Court agreed, but there was an appeal by the Speaker to the higher court, and the Supreme Court at the end of this, particularly the judgment of the late Justice Kayode Esho, he said, look, the clear provision of the 1979 Constitution relating to the phrases shall is mandatory. That even the Speaker does not even need to declare it as vacant. Once it has been calculated, the numbers of days you have participated in the House sitting, it has been calculated to fall short. You automatically shall. It's self-executory.
So the process is, after the 30 days elapses.
After the president, just a minute. Let me finish this constitutional analysis.
All right.
The last one, let me just quickly jump to the last one, because there are other ones like the Fezue versus Maduga in 1984, as to the 3 months within which court should give judgment. Before this time, courts were giving judgments 4 months, 5 months, 2 years after. But the court now said, look, the constitutional provision relating to the giving of judgment says the judgment shall be delivered within 3 months after the close of address by the parties. Shall be delivered. So many judges who were keeping their judgment in abeyance, some preserving their judgment for 4 months, 5 months, it became an unconstitutional thing to do. That's why you see judges these days quickly, once addresses are delivered, they give their judgment. And that attitude was what was carried to the present section 285, subsection 6 of the Constitution, now the amended one, which says all elections matter shall terminate within 180 days. You saw the attitude of the Supreme Court lately. So many cases that got to the Supreme Court, they just ask you, how many days? If it is beyond 180 days, your case is thrown out from the window. Shall be delivered. So when you now, in other words, I have to do this constitutional analysis, comparative constitutional analysis, to drive home the point that once the Constitution uses the word, the phrase or the word shall, it is mandatory.
No argument.
But unlike the civil procedure laws, which we call the adjectival law, once they use the word shall, the court can say, well, shall, the rules, it allows for discretion. But once it is used by the Constitution or any substantive law, it is mandatory. So coming back home, the present appropriation bill will suffer more days of ingloriousness. Because right now, like the Minister for Finance has said, the President will sign this week, which bill? The appropriation bill. If he cannot do that any longer, any purported attempt will be an exercise in constitutional futility. So it has to go back.
For what?
It has to go back to the National Assembly.
For them.
So because once the 30 days has expired, the bill must automatically revert back. So the National Assembly, which will now pass it, if such a bill is supported by 2/3 majority, it becomes law. But the problem the National Assembly against themselves will now have is this. Already, the Senate is now singing a discordant tune. Some members are saying, well, look, the gray area that has caused this brouhaha, allocated zero fund to SEC, which to me I even consider as unconstitutional because that will amount to usurpation of the executive powers of the Federation. That is no longer an appropriation. You are now budgeting. Because this is an executive bill that came to the National Assembly. You can, like we say in law, you cannot be something or nothing. Although Professor Sagi has criticized that in his recent book to say, well, that concept that you cannot be something or nothing, we should take a second look at it. So, but the point I'm trying to make is this. The National Assembly will also suffer from some internal dichotomy and discontentment because right now the Senate say, look, we are not party to the zero allocation to SEC, the unconstitutional act. It was done by the House. But unfortunately, they did realize that, or they have forgotten so quickly, that it is the combination, the exercise of the two houses that communicated into that law, to that bill becoming law. And therefore, they can no longer wash their hands clean, like the Pontius Pilate, who say, I don't know who killed Jesus Christ.
So when it gets back to the National Assembly, what do you envisage that they do at this point in time? If you say they also have some issues
that's why I said
with the Constitution.
The issue of budget,
yes.
the disconduct tune in respect of the present budget will drag on for a long time. And it's rather unfortunate. Because what is the National Assembly going to do? Like I've analyzed to you that even some of the members have already started distancing themselves. Where are they going to get the total majority that will override the veto, or that will veto the president's assent or withholdment of his assent? I can't see the National Assembly being able to.
So would they return? Would the budget go back again to the president? It returns to the National Assembly since they cannot veto because they don't have a 2/3 majority.
They are not likely. I can't see them having it, and I cannot even see them starting the process all over again to see whether we can now start the process and then ultimately pass it again back to the president. That does not make sense.